Okay, so I'm going to start off by creating a landing page for my listing that I'm going to be running the ad on. So I'm going to hit create a new page, and then it gives you an option to do it on your agent site, which is just a sub page of your website, or as a landing page for lead generation. Really, it's kind of up to you. The only difference is if you do it on your agent site, people who don't click through the link can access it. If it's a landing page, they have to have the direct link to get to it, and that's the only way. So I don't want anybody, exploring my website. So I'm just going to do it strictly as a landing page, and I'm going to create. So now I'm just going to go ahead and name it because I always forget to do that. So my address is 182 Clark Place. Over here is what basically your page is going to look like. And then over here you have widgets, and you also have 2 content blocks of an image and a text. So these are kind of some of the options you have when it comes to building out a landing page. So you have stuff like testimonial capture form, download my app, your local expert video. So it doesn't have to just be about a listing, but that's really primarily kind of what they're used for. I always like to start off with a branded header, and you just drag and drop. I like to drag all of my widgets over and then I go in and configure them. I just kind of find that the easiest way. I like to do the listing. I think kind of a good rule of thumb to usually follow is to always put a lead form anytime you provide information like that. And then I like to finish it off with a legal footer. So that's kind of what I've built out. I'm then going to go in and configure those widgets. So technically speaking, these 3 that have the green check mark are already good to go, but I'm going to go into the branded header. I'm going to make the text just the address. I'm going to get rid of my headshot and upload the KW logo. And then you, of course, would not be changing all of this information. If they end up contacting anybody, I want it to be kind of the market center and not me. So that's the only reason I'm changing that up. So I'm going to save and apply. And then now that reflects the changes I've made. My next widget is the listing. So I am going to browse listings. And I'm going to search by MLS number. I find that the easiest way because there are multiple kind of MLSs within this. We have, that many listings. So even when I pull in a direct MLS number, it still pops up a few listings. So 182 Clark Place, that's the one I'm going with. So I'm going to select. And then I am going to choose my first image. I believe I'm going to do this one. So and you can change you can choose, it'll just be this default image. It does rotate through all of the other images from the MLS, but it's just, so you can see down here where the images rotate, but it's just this one default image. That's the first one that they see when they come to the page. So I'm going to save and apply, and then that's going to configure itself. I am going to go to the next widget, which is interested, let's talk. You could change that if you want to. You could change it to schedule a showing, talk to whoever, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to leave it as is. Save and apply. And then last is the legal footer. So this one should be all set up. All of these links come directly from my marketing profile. I like to add the hyphens and the phone numbers because they never come over, and I just think it looks a little bit better, but that is really up to you. I'm going to save and apply. So 182 Clark Place. Make sure we're all good to go since I'm actually running this ad. And then we can see all of the information that they're going to get. So they can click through photos. They can see all of the details, where it is on a map, all of that good stuff. So since this one's ready to go, I am going to publish page. It's going to let you know that it's going to make it visible to others. That's what we want. It has to be an active URL in order to be used as the click-through link. So I'm going to say yes. And now you can see that the status has been toggled on. If I ever need to take it off for any time, I just turn it off. It'll ask if I want to set it as inactive. No. So you can see that the link is actually a live link. So I'm going to click it. And then you'll see this is what they will come to if they click through to the ad. So we are good from there. The next thing to do is to actually build out the ad. So we do that within, we do that within the campaigns applet. So I'm going to go in there. And then you kind of get a good amount of information when you first get in here. So you'll see kind of some stats on ads you've ran in the past. So I can see most leads, lowest cost per lead, most engaged, whatever it may be. You have some quick posts. So if you need something you just want to get out there quickly, you can, or if you need any training help, that's down here as well. You can also see your total spent. Mine is a little bit odd, even though I always do $20 for ads. I had to stop one of my ads in the middle just because it just wasn't really doing anything. So I think to where I had gotten it, I had spent $8.69 of my total. So that's a little bit weird. But if I switch over to paid ads, I can see how basically everything's performing. So I can see how many impressions I've gotten and how many leads captured in the last 30 days. I believe total I have received it doesn't tell me total. So within the past 12 months, I've gotten 109 leads, which is my total. So my ad from last week wasn't the best. I don't know if it just wasn't a captivating house. I ended up with 971 impressions, which is pretty good. So I was explaining to an agent earlier what this means. So CPM, this means so I kind of explained it this way. This is cost per 1,000 views. So I ran an ad for $20. If I would have ran an ad for $20.60, I would have ended up with 1,000 views. This is your cost per click and then your cost per lead capture. So I ended up with 6 leads at $3.33 per lead. It's not that great. It's not, actually, I will say it's tied with the worst. I'm kind of running this ad on kind of this impressive house in hopes to get back to this 31 leads at 65 cents a lead that I ended up with. But it kind of just depends on the house. Maybe, you know, it could have been some of the text within my ad. It could have been the house. There's really no telling. But I'm going to create a new campaign. So choose a campaign type. Your two social campaigns, you have social ad and you have a search ad within Google. I always just do good old Facebook ads. So those are going to be social ads. My campaign name is just going to be the address. So 182 Clark Place. You have to choose a goal. So the goal of this is to advertise the listing. You could also do attract buyers. They're kind of the same thing. And my campaign, these are your options for running. So Facebook and Instagram, of course, Instagram is owned by Facebook. And then you have Twitter. I just stick with Facebook ads. I'm going to set up campaign. So since I chose the ad or the goal of advertise a listing, it knows that it needs to start looking for me to pull in a listing. So it defaults to active listings that are only mine. So I have to switch this to all listings. And then same thing, I'm going to search by MLS number because I just kind of find that the easiest. And then there is my listing. So I'm going to select. I'm going to give it a minute to think. And then as far as the text, it does bring in some from the MLS. I usually just backspace because it usually cuts it off. Your recommendation is 125 characters or less. You do have up to 250, so kind of keep that in mind. And then this over here is the preview of my ad. So the main copy is going to be this text right here. So I am going to start out so custom built, not build, custom built home with privacy. Always lags on me. No detail has been spared. I'm saying check out this special home before it's too late. You do have the option to use emojis. Keep in mind, I can't type all of this out and then decide I want an emoji here. You kind of have to do it as you go. So there's a ton in here to choose from. In all of my other ads, I have used emojis. I'm going to kind of keep them to a minimum this time and kind of see how that goes. I don't even know that there's actually any that I want to use. I might use an exclamation point at the end. I'm going to say listed with Renee Lee. Let's see if there's anything appealing to me. We'll do exclamation points. Oh, those are ugly. Never mind. They do kind of end up looking different over here. I would go based on what that looks like versus what they actually look like in here. So there's my exclamation points or point. So you'll notice I point this out every time, but I didn't give away too much information. Not once did I mention the address, the price, anything that they can take and just go Google. We want them to want to know more about this because the entire goal of running this is to get them to click that button right there, and so you can capture them as a lead. So definitely stick with a less is more approach. That's kind of the best way to go about this. Next is your headline. So headline to tell what your advert is about. I am actually flopping these. I used to kind of do in the description what I choose to do in the headline now, because the description, it's only shown in some placements. It's not shown all the time. I don't know kind of the rhyme or reason about that, but something that I want to like always be shown, I'm going to put as the headline. So I'm going to use typing. Okay. So I'm going to say click learn more for more photos and information, referencing this learn more button. Again, reiterating that that is the entire goal. And then in description, it does give you a few suggestions if you want to use that. You could be coming home to this, schedule a private tour with me today, view photos and videos of this home. I am going to just say breathtaking custom home, not home. Sorry, it's hard when it lags and I get back. I'm like, okay, I didn't spell anything right. Great. Okay, so this one's a little sparse. Honestly, I haven't ran one like that before, so it's kind of good to, play around with it. I'm going to save my text. And then something kind of to note in here that I always, pay attention to, cannot contain misleading content, content that implies personal attributes, adult or political content. These ads do have to get approved by Facebook. They have to follow Facebook's very extensive advertising policy. You can't offend anybody. You shouldn't talk about like alcohol and partying and stuff like that. You shouldn't insult renters. Anything that you kind of think might be frowned upon in a business setting, I would not run an ad on it. Just kind of use some common sense there. Next is add media. So by default, it brings in the very first photo in the MLS. You can add up to 5, which I am going to do today. So I'm going to add more. This is a very unique house. So I'm kind of going to play with that a little bit. I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to stick with that as the first image. I definitely want a picture of this kitchen. So I think I'm going to roll with this one. So I'm going to select preview and crop image. And you do have to choose a side. So you have wide, square, vertical, and then full portrait. So I'm just going to go with wide so we can kind of capture all of that. So I'm going to save image. And as I go through these steps, you'll see that it updates over here. These are all very small, and Renee has so many pictures on the MLS. I am going to do this picture right here, kind of looking down over the little living area. I'm going to stick with wide on this one as well. I'm going to save image. And kind of the bad thing about this house, there's so many cool things to feature that keeping it to 5 is a little difficult. I'm going to do one of the bathroom. We'll do this one. And then this house has an indoor pool, so I'm going to do that one as well. So kind of the cool thing with this house, it's listed as 3 to 5 acres in the MLS. It doesn't actually say how many it is. It does say it's on 6 wooded lots. Usually with something like that, I kind of like to take a photo of it. There's not really anything that references how big like this house actually is. So that's kind of the struggle on this one. But something like this, I feel like that just wouldn't really come across very well in an ad. So that's kind of why I'm sticking with just this initial photo. I'm going to save image and scroll over. So Facebook is going to kind of be smart about this, and whichever picture is generating the most clicks, it's going to usually highlight that one first. So don't take too much into account about this one. So DBA logo, you just have to choose whether you want it on the left side or the right side. And since that took forever, I'm just going to leave it on the left side. I'm going to toggle include my ownership statement. I'm going to let it think for a second. Okay, include my ownership statement. We're going to wait. Sorry, around this time of day, everything is like, no, I don't want to work. Okay, so save ad media. Next step is the Facebook ad. So it's already connected to my account. I have to choose my page. So I'm just going to drop down. It's Keller Williams-Fayetteville. That's going to update this to reflect my actual page and the logo of it. Destination. This is probably the most important part of the ad. The difference between these is the difference between getting leads and getting no leads. So you always want to use the Facebook lead generation form, assuming you're doing these if you want to, capture leads, which I would assume you are. What this means, when they click learn more, a little screen pops up where they have to put in their name, phone number, and email. Whatever they put there is what you actually capture as a lead. That's how you guaranteed capture them. If I choose use a site or landing page, when they click learn more, they're going to go to that landing page I created. And the only way to capture them as a lead is if they fill out that information box that I left. Out of all of the leads I've ever captured, I've never had anybody put anything in that information box. So kind of keep that in mind. That's like the surefire way to capture them. Your button call to action, I default learn more, referencing it all in all of my ads because honestly, that's the only one that makes sense in this instance. And then follow up destination URL. So if you want to put whatever right here, or you can choose a landing page, which I am going to do, and then 182 Clark Place. You can see that all of the live pages of my website are an option here. So you don't have to create a landing page to do an ad. So I'm going to select 182 Clark Place because that's where I want them all to go. I'm going to give it a second to think. And that is good to go. Ad targeting. So you could very easily just hit save Facebook ad and like be done. At this point, just choose your budget and you're good to go. I like to toggle on the use custom settings, target a custom audience. This location always defaults based on where the listing is. So this listing is in Clinton. I'm going to leave it as 20 miles of Clinton because I think that kind of hits everything. Expert targeting. So this is optional, but you do have the ability to kind of refine your audience. Today, since this is a very expensive house, I'm going to go based on the luxury buyer. These are the target avatars that Nick Baldwin created. So we're going to kind of see how these work. So I'm going to add or change interest. So first we have luxury vehicle. And then just to kind of put in perspective, if you expand this, we're in the A's, like there are a ton to choose from. And you can highlight over them and see the audience size and then kind of the description. So we're going to look for luxury vehicle. So luxury vehicle and luxury property. We're going to do finance. Stock market and stock exchange. Market watch. All right, I don't see that one on here. Okay. Go to the next one, which was private equity. Money management, asset management. Investment banking. And then I'm also going to do Zillow, not choosing Premier Agent, Zillow and Trulia. I'm going to do Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com. We're going to stick with those. So I'm going to save selection. I have 12 selected. And you can see my estimated audience for all of these. It's not narrowing who's going to see this. It's kind of narrowing that they're more likely to be interested in this ad. I'm going to save Facebook ad. Give it one last little look over. So custom built home with privacy, no detail has been spared. Check out the special home before it's too late, listed with Renee Lee. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like the text, so and you know, sometimes that happens. So I'm just going to add the little red exclamation points after kind of every little, because normally I always like to feature kind of key points of the house. Like if it has a really extravagant kitchen, that has a walk-in closet, anything like that. This house is kind of extravagant as a whole, so it's really hard to kind of narrow that down. I'm going to save ad text. We're going to go with that. I'm going to go into my duration and budget because that is the last step. So now I choose how long this is going to run for. The default is 10 days at a budget of $1 per channel per day, which would put you at $30 total. I know Nick Baldwin goes, I think follows a 5x5 where it runs for 5 days for $5 a day, putting you at $25 total. I like to do 4 days because I start mine on Monday and I let them finish up on Friday. So that way on Friday, I kind of have the results to go over. So I'm going to start mine on the 15th and it is going to finish up on the 19th. I am going to change this total budget to 20, which puts me at 4 days, $5 a day per channel. Channel being Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm only using Facebook, so it's only one channel, which brings me to $20 total. I'm going to save duration and budget. All of my check marks are green. My preview is good. And from here, I'm going to publish campaign, create campaign. I'm going to show you kind of the last step of what happens, but does anybody have any questions while we're kind of waiting on this?
I wanted to see, have you done the one where you were trying to target listings instead of buyers?
I'm sorry, my volume was way down and I did not hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, have you done a campaign where you were targeting listings instead of buyers?
I ran this one as market listing.
So basically, on the main page, there was a place where you can, instead of actually trying to target.
Is it this one? The attract buyers versus attract listings?
Yeah, the attract listing. You said you did the attract listings.
I always do it as attract listings. I don't know that there's any difference. It's really just for the AI to learn. I would say maybe test it out, see kind of how it goes versus attract listings and attract buyers. The only one I will say that really changes like the scheme of the ad is the advertise multiple listings. With that one, you don't have the ability to use the Facebook lead generation form. So it kind of squashes any hopes of, you know, capturing leads. And I don't really know why that is. It's a little odd. But now that I have set that one to go, it is pending review. Once again, it has to be approved by Facebook. Once it is running, it will turn green and it will say active. It'll run for its 4 days. These numbers will update kind of in real time. So my total spent $20 total. It's not going to take that $20 all at once. Is it taken out of the bank account? Yes, but it's not putting $20 towards the ad immediately. It kind of like, you can see this one that says it's completed. I stopped this one and it just ran to the end of its duration. So it only took $8.69 and I realized it was performing very poorly. So I stopped it. So I recommend kind of playing around with these and, you know, you're not out your $20 no matter what. You can kind of pivot if you need to. So are there any other questions?